Happy birthday.
This is a little long.
And here's the speech.
Oh! Alright, now you may have heard these stories before. Thanks, guys. So stop me if you've heard this before. On behalf of my family, I would like to thank everyone who came here tonight. I know it means a lot to my grandmother. Tomorrow brings on a very special day as my grandmother turns 80 years old. The 80th birthday of the greatest wife, mother, and grandmother this family could have asked for. I'm honored and privileged to have the opportunity to say a few words. 1936 was a good year. Gas was 10 cents, a loaf of bread cost 8 cents, and a brand new Studebaker cost $665. And no, Mr. Spisak, I do not have one in my lot. In 1936 in America, the Hoover Dam was just completed. The book Gone with the Wind was just published. President Roosevelt was re-elected for a second term, and Robert Redford was born.
Yes!
In 1936 in Germany, the Hindenburg took its first flight. Jesse Owens dominated the Summer Olympics held in Berlin, and Ursula Eckerkamp was born.
Wait. Yes!
Yes! My grandmother crossed the pond and came to America at 11 years old, worked diligently to learn the English language, and 7 years later, at a skating rink of all places, she met a handsome fellow by the name of John B. Boyle. It didn't take him long to realize he had struck gold in the beautiful blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl, and the two of them were married before they were 20. Make no mistake, 6 years later, she's still as beautiful with her blonde hair and blue eyes. Though they weren't given much to start with, both of my grandparents worked hard day in and day out, lived a frugal lifestyle, and saved every penny to buy a house and support a household of four. While raising two lovely daughters, she worked full-time at Boise Cascade for 25 years. The grandmother that I've lived to see, who, as many of you know, is referred to as Oma by the four grandchildren, is still that same hard worker. Whether it's out in the garden on a 95-degree day in August, whether it's being a top-notch hostess when company is over, whether it's keeping what is arguably the most immaculately kept house in the country, whether it's serving my grandfather his morning cup of orange juice, whether it's sewing the 1,000 pairs of pants I manage to rip on a yearly basis, or even when there's hedge clippings, heavy for even me to be carried over to the curb, Amma does it all of which she will stubbornly decline any help with. But one of the most impressive things about Amma that speaks measures about her character and what she is all about is the fact that she decided to work an extra 5 years before retiring so that her and my grandfather could own a place in the Poconos, our cherished cabin. Amma, that is a sacrifice our family can't thank you enough for. While I was growing up, I was always fascinated when Amma would speak in German. Usually it was just when she was counting our scores in our epic rummy games held at the cabin. Though, as my sister and cousins will vouch for, an occasional scheisse would pop out if something was burning on the stove, as you said. Ever since I can remember, the four grandchildren have always tried our best to make it to our annual and sacred fall cabin trip with Amma. And that tradition still continues to this day. On our way up, perhaps despite her better judgment, she would always stop and let us get big bags of candy, which, if you ever met the 10-year-old version of myself, sugar was probably the last thing I ever needed. But Amma wanted us to have fun. Yes, she did. When I was about 12 years old, Amma had attempted to teach me the game of golf, and to say she had the patience of a saint would be an understatement. These days I stop over on a weekly basis on my day off, though if you've ever seen her calendar, you know not to come over without a phone call. Remarkably, at 80 years old, my grandmother has more of a social life than I do. But when she's not traveling the world or taking her 5-mile walks, golfing, playing the penny slots, or having lunch with the ladies, I have no problem occasionally cashing in on one of Amma's legendary sandwiches. Believe me when I tell you, regardless if I had just left an all-you-can-eat buffet, Amma will have lunch made for me within 15 minutes of my arrival, no matter how many times I insist I just ate. For the past 7 years, I've willingly accepted the job of doing their hedges. Some summers the hedges take me more days than others. Their next door neighbor, Mr. Joe Timar, would always say to me, "Yeah, you're just milking it so you can get more sandwiches." Which I must say, Mr. Timar, I'm a little taken back by that because her pumpkin pie is just as good. It's safe to say that Alma, 80 years old, has made an impact on all the lives of everyone here. Always in high spirits, always gives a grand welcome, always looking on the bright side. She is simply someone you want in your life. She is constantly putting others first, always looking to help others in any way she can. I'll go into work Monday and I'll have 3 voicemails from her friends. Friends that she's given my card to because nothing makes her happier than the success of her grandchildren. The amazing part is she managed to go through life, undoubtedly without a single enemy, which I find pretty impressive considering every day someone wants to rip my head off the second I tell them what the trade is worth. But I will be honest, if there's one thing that frustrates me about Alma, it's that at 80 years old, she can still hit a golf ball better than I can. Several years ago, I read on a refrigerator magnet the question, how old would you be if you didn't know how old you were? When I was younger, I thought it was a pretty dumb question. I just thought of that as someone attempting to rationalize not wanting to act their age, for better or for worse. But as I became older, it started meaning more to me. I have a different mindset about that question. My grandmother is living proof that age is just a number. She has defied all perceived stereotypes of what 80 years old should be like. That's just one of the reasons I am proud to say she's my grandmother. Pa, you're the luckiest guy in the world to have such a wonderful lady by your side. In conclusion, on behalf of all of us at this beautiful gathering, here's to you, Alma. Pardon me. Your friends and family extend our love, best wishes, good health, and much happiness for your 80th birthday.
Here, here, here.